some people might not feel comfortable pushing the limits in like a cooperative game mode. Is there any chance that we're going to see like a solo incursions at some point? We just got hit with some news that on Monday, March 8th, there's going to be an incursions update, which now includes a special objective that will give up to 30 6-star Sigstone crystals, which, by the way, is more than what was available for 15,000 units on Cyber Monday just a few months back. So this is actually really big, man. And instead of just sharing my own personal thoughts on it, I thought it'd be cool if we could sit down with Kabam Tipped, who is a systems designer at Kabam, basically the Incursions guy. And I got to ask him, like, dude, I mean, where'd you even come up with Zone 20? And, you know, are we going to get a solo Incursions mode? A few other questions like that as well, so stay tuned. But real quick before we get into it, listen guys, my computer here, it's 5 years old. It was a budget build back then. I'm trying to upgrade it, but all the parts are out of stock. So there's a few technical difficulties, including, for some reason, my face, it was in black and white for most of it. So it's not actually that bad. Hopefully it doesn't take away from the interview, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. All right, so Tipped, first question here. The forum post just went live with these changes to Incursions. And of course, the first thing I was drawn to was the reward changes. There's a little note there that the maximum artifact limit is being increased to 125,000. It's more than double the old limit. So is that just a quality of life capacity increase, or is there like another reason for that change?
All right, so originally when we were planning on doing this update, we were thinking about sort of a major reward shuffle in Incursions. But sort of in the process of reviewing the design behind it and things like that, we encountered like a lot of questions that were a little bit hard to answer, and we couldn't reconcile those without more information. So we're sort of in the process of gathering more information after this update, and hopefully after that we can sort of see where this takes us. One of the changes was to increase the artifact limit to 125k. Thinking about it when we were sort of pulling things back, we just thought, hey, that's a good quality of life change either way. Let's just roll with it. You know, players will like it, and there's not really any harm in it as it stands now. We already have, you know, buy limits in the store and things like that. So why not? Yeah.
Okay, so kind of a could lead to a change in the future kind of answer, but might as well up it now. Okay. You know I'm going to be hoarding those things for a long time.
That's fine.
Probably. Okay, well, the next thing is probably even more game-changing when it comes to rewards. There's a special objective that's now going to give up to 30 6-star Sigstone crystals if you can hit all of the milestones in that objective. And this is actually more Sigstones than the Cyber Monday deal we just had a few months back. Like, is this a one-time deal, or is this going to be, like, month to month getting these types of Sigstones?
All right. As far as the plans as of today go, it's a one-time objective.
Okay.
We've had discussions about having these sort of, like, extreme challenge objectives pop up every so often in, like, different game modes across MCOC.
Right.
But we don't have any concrete plans on how often or where they're going to appear quite yet. This is sort of like an intro. We're going to test it out. We're going to see how it goes. And we're going to move from there. There's also some very Incursions specific stuff to that objective that we want to learn from it. But yeah.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Kind of curious because it seems like a pretty steep challenge. Like zone 20 is the final objective, if people haven't seen it, to get all of the Sigstones. It goes 10, 15, and then 20. And it seems really high. Like, there's an item limit in the Incursions, and because of that, this feels like it could potentially be like the hardest challenge we've ever seen in the game, outside of something like the Summoner Showdown or, you know, ranking highly on the Legends leaderboard. So, like, how'd you guys come up with this number of 20?
So kind of how I was saying before, this objective is a bit of an experiment. We talked about some hard to answer questions relating to Incursions earlier. That's kind of what we're targeting here. We sort of want to know what the reaction would be from the player base if we sort of brought Incursions a little bit more onto the critical path. because we know that Incursions is a little bit more niche right now. So uh, we're trying to get some data points on that so that we can sort of secure what the future of Incursions is looking forward, because we have a lot of really cool ideas, but we sort of need those definitive data points that we can action on. So on top of sort of giving out crazy rewards for our top players, such as yourself, I know you've been hungry for this for a while. Um, this objective is going to help us answer those questions, and then zone 20 is tough. It's really tough, and we expect players to have to fight tooth and nail to get there. But it's really critical for us to get that information so that we can move forward.
Okay. Okay. And you're right. I mean, I've definitely been hungry for both a challenge and Sig Stone. So, I mean, I'm not exactly complaining, but we'll see, because Zone 20 seriously is not going to be easy. But okay, fair enough. I mean, the other side of this is that Incursions, it's a co-op game mode, and some people might not feel comfortable pushing the limits in like a cooperative game mode. Is there any chance that we're going to see like a solo Incursions at some point?
Yes. I mean, yeah, yes. We also love the idea. I'm looking into a design right now. So we're trying to find a way to do it, but there's a lot of questions around how does a solo Incursions game mode fit into the MCOC ecosystem. We have a lot of game modes. We demand, quite a bit of time from players in all these game modes, especially the ones that are like on that critical path that everybody participates with. So it's like, do we want a version of Incursions to be on that critical path? If so, like, are we asking them to do more? Are we taking something away and slotting it in? So there's questions around that to think about too, on top of like, how fun is this mode going to be? So right now I'm working on the how fun is this mode going to be, and then we have a few questions to answer around, where can we even put this? But
Okay.
it's in the works. We're thinking about it, but I can't guarantee anything or anything like that right now.
Okay. All right. Personally, I think a lot of people would love to see a mode like that. So I hope it does work out. I hope you guys are able to kind of figure that out and add that in. Okay. So that kind of brings me to the next point too, is that some people, maybe because they want a solo mode so much, I don't know exactly the reason why, but some people don't really play Incursions at all. And the way I personally view Incursions, and kind of what it sounds like you're saying a little bit here too, it almost feels like it's a bonus mode on top of the core existing modes. So is that how it is? Like, or is it meant to compete with the likes of Alliance Quest and War and things like that?
Sure. Yeah, I think you nailed it. Incursions was sort of always designed to be like a fun place to spend time, challenging, like tough content with your friends. I think it achieves that goal really well, but we're always sort of exploring new ways to freshen up the mode and add quality of life. But like, we're pretty happy with where it stands now in terms of what we're asking of players, and sort of what they're getting out of it. It wasn't ever really intended to compete with like Alliance Quest or Alliance War. It kind of has more of a social casual feel to it, but you can take it wherever you want. So put the power into the player's hand and sort of let them decide what they want to do with it. And so we knew going in that it was going to be a bit more niche, because real-time co-op and the longer session times are really tough for players to swallow in mobile, especially, I would say. And there definitely are players that are totally hardcore and are gonna love it and go super deep, and then there's some that are gonna do it a little bit more casually, maybe do their 5 rooms, have fun with a friend, and that's great too. And as much as I'd love to get more people playing the mode, because of those sort of restrictions and how they don't fit every player, I don't personally believe that the baseline experience that sold players on MCOC in the first place is really like fits with what Incursions provides right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I don't want to force people into that position where they have to play something they didn't buy into. So from that perspective, it's going to probably stay a side mode. It's not going to be on the critical path, and rewards will probably be tuned accordingly.
Okay, but from time to time, depending on how this first test run goes, we are gonna get like these 6 stone objective kind of things.
Yeah, whether it be in Incursions or somewhere else, that's kind of something that we're exploring, is doing that sort of stuff more regularly,
Right.
specifically around like 6-star 6 stones. I mean, again, I can't really talk about where or how often, but it's it's an interesting experiment. I hope people enjoy it for what it is and understand that yes, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Um, is that why we don't have leaderboards for incursions? Because you kind of just want it to be a like a bonus thing for players, or is there some other technical reason behind no leaderboards?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of reasons. So, firstly, from a design perspective, we didn't really intend. Well, we didn't really intend for incursions to be that level of competitive. We thought about leaderboards a lot early on, and we even did some early development work on them. But the difficulty is that because of the randomness and sort of the inherent lack of balance in the mode, we find it very difficult to sort of put a leaderboard in a meaningful way right now. Leaderboards tend to imply some level of fairness that we just can't guarantee. So we need a few key features added before I would feel comfortable adding like a global leaderboard that everybody participates in simultaneously, as well as probably a few fixes to some unfair advantages that players can exploit. But
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Kind of on the topic of maybe the players that do want that more competitive nature to the mode. Like what are your thoughts on the player hosted tourneys that pop up? Do you watch them? Are there any kind of tools that are maybe in the works to make them easier for players to orchestrate? Like for example, the general tourney rules, like we don't allow items to be used just because it's meant to be more for fun. It's competitive but fun, so we don't want people to feel like they have to buy the biggest items to play. But we kind of just have to go by the honor system. There's nothing in game that allows us to kind of see this if a player is following through with the rules by the tourney.
right, um, I love the tournaments. I watch them when I have an opportunity to, basically. Um, I've been thinking about ways to sort of support these initiatives from a feature dev perspective for a little while. Um, if we were to move forward with like a tool set that players can use to, I guess, like, let's say create a tourney rule set and then like send out invitations, something like that. Um, it would probably be done in parallel with the global leaderboards in some capacity, because they would require some of the same technologies to accomplish properly. Um, so it's sort of a big commitment in order for us to go in that direction. Um, and while we like the idea right now, I don't know where it stands on our priorities for the game overall. Um, the other side of it is I can't speak to it all that much personally, because it's not really my department, but I know that we're looking at the possibility of sponsoring some of the player run incursions tournaments in the future in some capacity. I don't know exactly what that looks like, or if it will even happen, but I know it's something that we've been talking about. So
Okay.
that's definitely another point. I would love to see like a tool set that players could just run with and have a lot of fun and say like, oh, no items, and this is a seeded map, so everybody has the same map and things like that. I'd love to see that. But
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of this comes down to like production priorities and things like that. Like, but I think it's a really cool idea. I love what you guys are doing with it right now. But yeah. it's building a tool set, especially in game, can be a little bit challenging.
Yeah, okay. Totally get that. Sometimes the hacks themselves kind of just decide the run. Some of them are so strong. I noticed the hacks in this new list that you have, one in particular is going to increase stun duration by 50%, which just makes me think like, oh man, all those stun lock strategies I've used with like Stark Spidey on a special one could even be used to stun lock opponents from 100% to 0 essentially. Like, is there any risk when you're creating these nodes or these hacks that you're like, oh, this is going to be too strong, or is this kind of just the tip of the iceberg of what you have going on that you want to give players to use?
Yeah. So I mean, incursions as a mode is not meant to be really all that balanced. The main criteria that we check when looking at any adjustment to a hack or anything in the mode really is the fun factor. Now, it's possible that a permastun hack build could end up dominating the meta during this release, and that's something. If that happens and the meta becomes stale as a result, then maybe we'll take some steps to correct it. Like if everything else becomes boring because stun is so crazy, then maybe at that point we'll step in. We'll see how we can adjust things. But sort of because of the nature of the mode, like the fact that hacks eventually expire as zones progress, it gives us a lot of room to explore like super powerful hacks for temporary amounts of time, and we're not really done exploring how crazy we can get with some of these. We've definitely got a lot of really cool ideas, and I'm sure people will have a lot of fun with these. We've already found a lot of really crazy combinations with this buff set that we're excited to see what players come up with as well.
Okay, all right. I mean, kind of just on that note, like, is there any teasers that you want to share for the future of Incursions, or would you prefer to leave that for, kind of the next update?
Um, sadly, I can't hint towards any specific course, like in terms of direction for Incursions right now. Like I was saying earlier, we have a lot of really cool ideas, but we also have a lot of decisions to make. Um, but I hope you're all excited for the future of Incursions. I know we are. It's got a lot of really cool fundamental tech that we want to make use of as much as possible to enhance the experience for everybody. We know how fun it is, and we want to bring that to you in like a way that's maybe a little bit bigger than our current co-op version of Incursions.
Okay, okay. I mean, we've even seen some of that tech kind of expand outside of the Incursions as well, like the whole champion swapping thing in, Act 7 now. So it's
Yeah.
it's kind of cool as a player to think like, I don't know if you guys see it this way, but Incursions being like this ultimate playground where you guys can just go nuts, and then if it works, maybe like take that out of Incursions and put that someplace else too. So yeah, it's fun to play, and it's fun to think about like the future of the game in general. So
Yeah. I think Incursions is really good for that in terms of being able to provide us opportunities to build like new gameplay tech outside of what's in the fight, and sort of just really thinking about how can we enhance like the quest board experience, how can we enhance just a mode overall outside of changing like what the nodes are and what the champions are. I think we've done some good stuff in that direction already. I'm definitely hoping that we see more really cool gameplay features like that in the future. And chances are, yeah, they might go into Incursions first.
okay, well, cool, man. Tipped. That's all the questions I got for now. So I appreciate
All
you
right.
sitting down and talking with me and sharing this with the community. And I mean, I guess I'll start preparing to hit Zone 20. Uh,
Good luck.
so thanks, man. All right.
All right.
Take care,
Later.
dude. And with that, I want to ask you guys 2 questions. Number 1, do you prefer that the Incursion stays more of this almost bonus type of mode where you don't feel like you have to play it in order to keep up? Or would you prefer that it's more on the critical path, as Kabam Tipped was describing it, where maybe the rewards were better, but it also feels like you have to play the mode in order to keep up? And the second thing I want to ask is, what about Solo Incursions mode? Even if you don't want the Incursions as it stands today to be on that critical path, if there was a solo version of Incursions, would you guys then want to see that be more of like a mainline, mainstream mode to play, similar to something like the monthly event quest or alliance quest, things like that? Let me know what you guys think, and that'll do it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.